Good morning and good afternoon to everyone attending. I'm conscious that we are from different parts of the world in this webinar. Thanks for joining today. We have, as part of our process of keeping our clients and prospects and advisors and investors, partners aware of what we do, we introduce new items in the webinar. And today we are happy to introduce you to our new partners that will be part of this webinar. We have this session called the BRITech Talks that we normally and regularly update people. And our channel, this is our channel to communicate with the market, because the market is made also of our clients as well, obviously. We talk about trends, news, we talk about market changes, regulatory changes. We invite specialists in the panel, and sometimes we invite our partners, like in this case. We would like to make sure that we give a value to our clients and our partners to what we do, and we tend to talk about something that is new, that is relevant, that gives value to our clients as well as their clients, their investors. So today's agenda is we're going to speak for about 30 minutes, and we're going to go and leave it for 15 minutes for your questions and answers. And we're going to make sure that we provide you some value. So let me introduce myself. I am Antonio Neri. I've been working for BRITech for about 4 years now, in 2019. And I'm responsible for the business in Europe and Middle East and Africa. Together with me today, our guest speaker is Holger. He is from our recent partner, 3rd-eyes Analytics. Holger, maybe you would like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Antonio. So I'm Holger. I'm working for 3rd-eyes Analytics in the business development team. I'm with 3rd-eyes Analytics since 2020, so quite some time. And happy to be today here with you and discuss with you and your colleagues and clients about goal-based investing and what we are doing about it.
That's great. Thank you very much. And so I will spend a very short and little time about BRITech for those of you who don't know who we are and what we do. But most of the time, we make sure that we'll give the word to Holger because he has some valuable things to share with you. So in terms of BRITech, we are an investment management company provider for an investment management platform. We provide a solution for the entire wealth management ecosystem. We specialized in particularly an area where it's basically very, very in demand at the moment, which is having a platform that orchestrates the entire ecosystem. And what does it mean? I mean, some people know us as portfolio management system or a system that provides a solution for reporting, etc. But what we do is actually, our goal is to make sure that we embed into the ecosystem. We are aware that as a software provider, we cannot build everything. It would be impossible. So what we thought was that we utilize our system and we embed into our system partner companies like 3rd-eyes that provide specialized processes or features that allows our customers to get value. And so we have partners with a multitude of providers, and we would like you to be aware of what they do, what they do, and who they are, and we would like to see if that gives value to yourself. Our system becomes a backbone of this infrastructure. As you know, some of you are clients. We do the entire process from beginning to end, from client onboarding up to reporting. But there are some specialist areas where we believe that we give more value to our clients if they have a system from another vendor who are specialists. But we also understand that people are looking for solutions that are working similarly. They don't want to have a one system and then another one and then another one put together. So that is what we take care of. We will make sure that the integration part is our job internally between us and our partners. And we make sure that when we provide the solution to the clients, they have one entry point of a contact, they have one entry point of resolutions, and they get the best value for the best money. Why BRITech? We are a technology innovator. We are a specialist team with many years of experience. Every one of us has been in the market for quite a long time in each individual respective role. We have more than 480 clients, also all satisfied. The system is simple to use. The reason why people like our system is quite straightforward. It's a web-based solution. It's scalable. You can grow with us starting from a very small amount of portfolio and grow up to thousands, hundreds of thousands of portfolios. The system allows you to do so. We have a presence everywhere, almost. I said before, 480 clients. We're present in 22 countries. We have been in the market for 2014. Our founders has been in the market for longer before, so we are quite experienced in this segment. As I mentioned before, I would like to spend very little time on this, so I'll give you just an overview of what our clients are. Some of you obviously know because we are clients, and we have from very big to very small institutions. We cater for those because we have a proposition that is tailored for larger institutions, particularly those in Latin America, where we are obviously our head office, as well as modern institutions which are present in other countries. And we have a solution which matches both because, as I said before, it's scalable not only from a 90s point of view, but also from a commercial and operational point of view. I would like now to give time to 3rd-eyes Analytics, and this is actually the reason why we are here today. We want to give you some information about something new that exists in the market that gives value to your clients. Because at the end of the day, that's all about, right? It's your clients. The more clients you have, the more your business grow, and obviously we grow ourselves with you because you use our system in more depth. Holger, that's up to you now.
Yeah, thank you, Antonio. So once again, happy to share some insights from our side on wealth planning and goal-based investing. So happy to be with you today. Before I start, let me introduce our company briefly. But in the end, I would like to show you our tool directly in live. So the different front ends we have, that you get a direct impression of what it is all about, as mentioned before. So we are a Swiss-based company in Zurich, founded since 2015 on the market, founded in 2015, 2018 on the market. We were able to gain some well-known financial clients since that time, coming from different sectors of the financial industry, which makes us quite happy. But also have been able to collect some great awards throughout the time. For example, being nominated as a WealthTech 100 for several years, but also, for example, as an ESG FinTech 100, which is also quite important topic to at least in our understanding so far. So can you flip to the next page, please? So very briefly, what are we doing? So what are our solutions? So we empower financial institutions like banks, insurance companies, family offices to provide goal-based holistic advice, which considers the complete financial situation of a client, including the external and also, for example, non-bankable assets, but also the liabilities of a client, of an institution, to give a realistic picture of the client's financial setup and recommend an individual investment strategy which helps the clients to achieve their goals, for example. So our core competency lies in the ability to transform, let's say, the professional institutional methodologies from asset liability management into solutions which can be used for a broad range of use cases for private clients or also for institutions. So our aim is to make this approach available for everyone out there who is seeking for financial advice. So can you go ahead, please? Thank you. So together with BRITech, we want to help to solve the challenges in today's markets and in wealth management and also in private banking. So in the end, to better serve the clients and boost at the same time, if possible, the efficiency in the advisory process. And what we are hearing in our discussions with clients are the points you see on this slide. So gaining, and maybe more importantly, retaining clients, increasing the share of wallet of a client and increasing AUMs, differentiating in the competition, at the same time as increasing the efficiency, for example, in the process to cope with rising efforts due to regulation or other challenges. But as said, I'm happy to discuss this further in the Q&A session. Would be keen to see or hear what you see as challenges in your field. So can you go ahead one slide more, please? So what is the USP? So what is really unique about what we are doing? So for example, how to differentiate, how to convince the client that you can be, let's say, the trusted advisor of all questions about financial matters. Giving a holistic advice, a real holistic advice, considering everything, considering all aspects of the financial situation. Deliver really individual advice tailored to the needs, to the goals, give a realistic outlook, but be also flexible at the same time with implementing features which helps to enhance, for example, the advisory process. And the next slide, please. I do this quite fast, that we have enough time to spend on the demo. So finally, it's the question, what is in for you? What is in for your clients? So what we see as feedback from our users is the following. So we have very comparably high conversion rates when making offerings with our tool. We increase the share of discretionary mandates within the investment universe, and at the same time, we are able to generate a higher efficiency in offerings and generating offerings for prospects and clients. And also, it's also quite important to a large degree to our client is also to increase the share, for example, of sustainable investments. And I think with that brief introduction, I will already leave it there. As said, if you have any questions, just let us know in the Q&A session. And otherwise, I would be taking over the screen and share it with you so that I can show you in live what our tool is doing. I hope you can see my screen. So what you see here, for example, is our web-based solution, which we call Advisory Suite, where we can conduct a complete advisory process from the profiling over the recommendation, over the strategic asset allocation, portfolio construction, and we can conclude it with a reporting. So just let me briefly go through it as we don't have too much time, so I would not go into every detail, but there's a lot of a variety of functionalities we can dig deeper into it, but you will see that all in a minute. So let's start with the profiling. What we are taking away from here is, for example, the risk profile, the risk tolerance of a client, which is the main constraint when optimizing the strategic asset allocation, the investment advice for a client. But also, for example, we are taking away the age of the client, because we are doing a holistic advice, let's say projecting the wealth development over the complete expected lifespan of a client. So there's also a mortality table behind it to calculate that correctly. So once this is done, we can directly go into the assessment of the client's financial situation. In this demo case, I have set up a client with this kind of asset allocation. So the client has cash, has some equities, has some bonds, but he also has some external assets with other banks. For example, liquidity, maybe a cash account with a savings bank, which is outside of, for example, your current asset allocation, which you are having at your entity, for example. So we are dividing between the advisory assets and the other assets. And what we also can do, as mentioned before, we can consider illiquid assets like real estate, private equity, and other items, which are also part of the wealth of a client. As said, we can consider the loans, for example, as we would like to consider the liabilities to give a real holistic picture of the financial situation, but we also can consider things like pension contributions. First and second pillar pensions can also be part of the projection to give a holistic view. But mainly most important is what about the goals of a client? Client are having certain goals. For example, in this case, we can consider or have set up several goals to show. For example, this sample client wants to retire and wants to have an income of, in this case, $2,000 US. He has also a goal about the target yield, 2% he wants to achieve. But he also would like to support one of his family members, wants to finance the university of one of his children, for example. So what our tool is doing, we are directly simulating the effect of all these goals into the wealth development in the future of this client, so that there is a transparency and visibility how it is going and how the goals are achievable. And what you can see on the right-hand side of the screen is the projection of the future wealth development. And you can see below the chart that we give some information about the goals and the goal achievement, but also the shortfalls, so the gaps which a client maybe needs to finance in case he cannot or would not like to optimize his investment strategy. But before I move on to show you what we can do about better achieving the goals of these clients, I would like to show you a little feature what we can do, and what most of our advisors like a lot is to include these external assets. Let me close that log for a moment and close it, and then you see that the goal achievement, hold on, I need to close it here. And then you see that it's directly recalculated. So now these external assets are not included in the optimization and not in the wealth projection, because we are not allowed to use this money. And you can see that the goal achievement immediately decreases and the financial gap is increasing. So this is quite motivating for clients to pool money at the same entity to better achieve the goals. And what we have learned from our advisors is that this is a quite powerful tool to convince clients to pool money at one entity, for example. But as we've seen, there's still some room for improvement about the financial situations. So let me go to the next module, which is the recommendation. So let's see what we can do about the client's financial situation. Can we do anything better? So let's have a look at the wealth development over time. But for an easier read and a better understanding, let's compare it to the previous situation. So we did an optimization run, did calculate which kind of asset allocation would be better for the client to achieve his goals. And what you can see is the current situation on the left-hand side and the recommended projection on the right-hand side. And you can see a much more positive outcome on the upper end of the wealth distribution. But when you simply look at the goal achievements below that, you can see that now as everything is dark green, so it's highly likely that the client is able to achieve these goals. And what we also have been able to reduce the financial risk, the gap, significantly. We cannot optimize it away, it would be simply unrealistic, but we would have been able to improve the financial situations considering the goals significantly before, or let's say after the recommendation. But the question is, how did we do that? What did we change? So let's have a look at the investment strategy of the client. Again, you see the comparison before and after recommendation. This is the current allocation as you have seen it in the beginning. So a high share of cash, some equities and some bonds. And the recommended asset allocation would be with a higher share of equities, but always considering the risk constraints of the client. We will never allocate more risky assets than the risk profile would allow us. So this is the main constraint. So it's still in line with what the client wants to see in his portfolio. So with this, let's say strategic asset allocation, like an institutional investor, we can achieve the client's goals much, much better. But to conclude the process, once, for example, we have agreed on the new investment strategy, it's still the question, how can we bring this theoretical, let's say, asset allocation to life? And there is the point when it comes to the portfolio construction. So for example, when we go to the next step, and let me show you that in live, when I do an investment product search, where I'm starting that directly right now, then within the framework we have set before and the investment criteria we can define. The portfolio construction module is searching for the best products fitting to this strategic asset allocation. So, for example, when we have a look at the right-hand side, you see this pie chart. In the inner circle, you see that investment recommendation we have seen before, and on the outside, it's now equipped with certain investment products. You need to remember, or you need to know that as this is a demo environment, this is just a sample list of investment funds and ETFs. In practice, for example, if we would like to implement that with a wealth manager or a private bank, obviously the investment instruments of that entity will be part of that selection, so that the B2B client, the bank, the wealth manager can decide which kind of assets and which kind of investment solutions can be behind this recommendation, so that it's possible to maintain that on their own, let's say. We have several ways to construct these portfolios. We can implement model portfolios, discretionary mandates. It's quite flexible, but just to show you an example how we did it in that way, we have defined what we call a fit score. This takes into account the quality of the investment product, but also some criteria the clients may have set, for example, about environmental priorities he or she may have. And based on that, we're calculating the score for the products which are best fitting in this case for this, let's say, filter criteria. And provided, or let's say based on that selection, we can also provide additional information about this to be implemented portfolio. Like, for example, information about ESG risks, about sustainability, but we also can tell you something about the CO2 intensity of a portfolio, but also something about controversial investments, for example. Also, we can go deeper into that and have a look which kind of information are behind that. And also, quite newly implemented, we can also show the alignment with the UN SDGs. So how the goals of the UN SDGs are achieved with that portfolio, for example. And finally, to conclude the advisory process, hold on, let me jump to the reporting archive. You've seen this report has just been generated once I was clicking on the portfolio construction. Let's have a look at that. This is now our own, let's say, 3rd-eyes internal investment report. But in practice, it would be the case that this reporting template is then customized to the corporate design of the user, of the client, obviously. So there will be no 3rd-eyes visible, but just that you get an impression. So everything what you have seen in the tool is available to be plotted or to be distributed in any way to a reporting engine as well. So that we are quite flexible. There are a lot of statistics in there, so you can see the information about the wealth structure, about the recommendation. You can see the goal achievement, and all of what we have seen in the tool directly can be plotted on a report. This was it already, let's say, on the advisory process with the advisory suite. Just let me conclude here that you see these 5 different modules. They are quite flexible. We can, let's say, switch on or off different modules. For example, we have clients which already have a profiling. They don't need ours, so we can cut this off. And also we have clients which are having their own reporting engine. So we also have clients where we only deliver the data and they generate their own reports. And for example, we can also switch off the reporting archive. There are a lot of settings to discuss about. We have not the time today to do that in detail, but I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what we can all change. So we can set recommendation settings, so we can set limits to certain asset classes. We can set tax rates. We can obviously change the currency. We can change the language, but also maybe most interestingly for some of the participants is that we also can change the expected returns per asset class. It can be overwritten, it can be changed, it can be also implemented your own investment views if necessary, but in case not, we are able to provide our own return expectations. It simply depends on the case which we are discussing where it should be implemented, or how it should be, or how it can be implemented. But in the end, when you say, okay, this is a lot of input, this is a lot of stuff to do, it's maybe too complicated for my clients or even for my advisors, We have different front ends, all based on the same powerful calculation engine. But for example, we have designed for one client this kind of one-pager. All what you have seen in the other tool on several slides and several modules is here packed within one page. But you only have one page to enter, and you can test out a few things. For example, if I have an early retirement goal, I can simply override that. Maybe I have an idea about what I would like to have when I retire, and then give the tool. I can give the tool some information about my wealth situation, as you have seen it before in the other tool. Maybe I also have some bonds and some equities. And again, you see the tool is directly reacting, so it's very interactive. Maybe I need to reduce my pension because I don't have enough assets, but you get immediately again the goal achievement, the information, how likely it is or how easy or how difficult it is to achieve that goal. And for example, if I have a dream, maybe I would like to buy a car in 5 years for 25,000 euros in this case, but as said, the currency is not relevant. And again, you see directly the impact on your wealth development. And maybe you see, okay, I need to save more. And then you see, okay, goal achievement, it's much better now. But let's have a look, for example, at inflation, which we can consider separately, which is quite an important topic at the moment. When you switch on the retirement again, you see there is a need for action. And then you can, for example, have different call to actions down here. It could be the next step could be like, I would like to be contacted by an advisor. I would like to have a phone call. I would like to have more information. Or even the next step could also be that we start with a recommendation plan, or to say, okay, what would be a better asset allocation for this kind of setup or for this kind of goals. So all is based on the same powerful calculation engine, and it really depends on the use case and the flexibility, because we are able to adapt quite strongly to the different ideas of our clients, be it lead generation, be it conversion, cash to equities or to investments. We have discussed a lot of use cases with our clients and prospects. So, and I can assure you, we are quite flexible, let's say, in adapting to the business model the clients have and how we can help them to achieve their goals as well.
Holger,
And
am I correct to say that this tool is available online, that people can access, and this can be provided to our clients if they want to embed into their website, for example, to attract investors?
Yes, exactly. No, that's exactly the case. For example, we have implemented this tool for a client to reactivate clients before, for example, a login. So for lead generation and reactivate or attracting clients to their website. It can be before a login or afterwards, already feeded with assets or not. It really depends on the use case.
Yeah.
And you, by the way, just an information for the audience, you can test it on our webpage. We have this online, so you can just simply go to our webpage to solutions and just try it out.
Great. Thank you very much, Holger. Thanks for your interesting overview of this solution. I think it's the time to share the screen now again, where we're gonna dedicate this time to the people who may have questions at this stage.
Yeah.
There's a button on the Zoom where you can ask questions in writing. We will be able to answer. And of course, you can contact me or my colleagues, or 3rd-eyes, Holger, to get more information after any time. If you need the contact details, I think my colleague has dropped a line with the contact details in the chat. You will be able to get in contact to get more information. If you want a tailored demo, please do not hesitate to contact us. There's a question coming now. I'll read for everyone. What data sources and analysis, thank you, by the way, Jerry, for asking this question. What data sources and analysis methods does 3rd-eyes Analytics leverage to provide hyper-personalized wealth planning? How does it handle data privacy and security? That's the first question. I'll let you answer, Holger. If you want me to repeat, I can do it.
Maybe I start with the latter one of these several
How
questions.
does it handle the data privacy and security?
Yeah, exactly. So usually, so we are fully data compliant, for example, with the European data regulation. So there is no question about that. We are also regularly certified on that one. But what we usually are doing is that we don't hold any client-related data anyway, because we are able also to communicate via interfaces with anonymous data, so that there are no, let's say, client identifying data already in our system. So this is these are very valuable questions asked nearly every time. But it's important to understand that most of the times we don't even have any client identification data. So this is quite smart. On the sources, so mainly on the sources, we are for most of our data we are relying on publicly available data. For example, from central banks, from large entities like the IMF or World Bank and others. We are not relying on the input of let's say, for example, capital market expectation of banks or so, because we have a quite large quant team which is calculating all this data on our own. So it's really in-house. And regarding the methodologies, so what we are doing is we are doing a multi-periodic, non-normal distributed optimization. We are using Monte Carlo simulations for it to calculate, let's say, the scenario-based approach to be, let's say, state of the art in terms of optimization methodologies. And we're using a lot of models, for example, for economic forecasts, like the Fed model or the Taylor model and other kind of stuff. There is a lot of models we are using for example, for the estimation of the risk premium of equities or risky asset classes overall. You can have a lengthy discussion about that, but overall, it's a quite diverse, let's say, a universe of data and sources we are using.
And I've got another question as well from Alessandra about the implementation. How does it work? Is it something fast or it needs time? Let me first address this myself, Holger, so I can get this partially.
Sure.
So obviously every system needs to be implemented, but I would like to say that there is a part of the implementation which is the integration between our platform and the integration with the 3rd-eyes. This is something that we are currently doing. We will continue, obviously, until we finish. And we take care, so you don't need to pay, don't need to worry about that. It's our job because we would like to make sure that we offer an integrated solution. They are both based on cloud, both based on Web3. So we don't have legacy systems that needs to be integrated. They are both on the same technology. So when people buy our solution and then integrate it with 3rd-eyes, they will see a seamless experience. They will not even realize where that finisher ends, and actually we also embed into the system of our clients. So sometimes the client, but they make sure that we have their logo, their look and feel. So that's as usual from our side. So this is one part. In terms of specific implementation for 3rd-eyes, maybe that's probably what they want to know. What is involved in terms of implementation typically, Holger?
Yeah, let me start with at first to make a general statement that what we have seen on the screen the last minutes, all let's say the front ends of ourselves. But as you have mentioned, we would seamlessly integrate into BRITech. Therefore, we are able to communicate via API interfaces, which are standard interfaces, which reduces the implementation effort overall. So it makes it very easy to let's say connect to other systems. And let's say from my experience, what we usually see with clients which we are onboarding is that we have a kind of a starting project defining, let's say, the framework. For example, the capital market assumptions you have seen for a few seconds on the screen, that we define which kind of modules are relevant for the client, which kind of approach we would let's say, show in the process of the advisory process how to implement best the capabilities. So it's really depending individually on the business case of the client, but implementation due to the standardization of the interfaces is usually quite smart.
That's great. I take the other questions from Joseph. Given the international scope of BRITech and 3rd-eyes, how does the partnership cater to diverse regulatory environments and compliance requirements across different regions? Well, this is, in general, has been part of our process in BRITech. We started from Brazil and then extended into Latin America, which I know, it's mean people from Latin America know is not the same country. And then in Europe, again, there are multiple countries, and people think the European Union as a whole, it's not, it's diverse with every single state, nation with different requirements. So it's been part of our plan and how we grow. Obviously, we don't have at the moment means to cater for regulatory changes in China or in Asia. So we are not targeting that area. So we can say that we have planned to make sure that we address this point where we go to a new market. So, for example, the partnership with the 3rd-eyes, they're based in Switzerland, in Germany, and this is an area where BRITech wanted to expand. And as a result, we wanted to make sure that we partner with someone who understands that specific requirements. And so it's our job. It's how we manage. It's how we make sure that our clients don't have to worry about it. And we have a solution prepared for that market, basically. If that is satisfied. You want to add something, Holger, about that?
Yeah, I just can confirm what you already have said. So we don't have that much client as you have, obviously, but we also have different jurisdictions in our tool. For example, we have implemented, let's say, the pension system of the UK, for example, or for US. So as we have clients already there, we have the Nordics, but also, let's say, Central Europe. So we are also quite flexible in adapting to different legislations.
Next question comes from Carlo. What kind of support and resources will be available to financial institutions looking to implement these integrated solutions successfully? Well, again, this is probably part and part. I mean, we have a global presence in 22 countries, as I mentioned before, and we cater for various types of institutions. We have from the very small to the very large. And as a result, if we were to buy a system ours or 3rd-eyes or the integrated solution, we BRITech that have a presence everywhere will take responsibility. And so when it comes about support and resources, we utilize our support and resources to make sure that you are served properly. And so this is our approach. We don't bring a partner with us without being able to support our clients in that region. We don't sell in regions where we can't support. And so I hope that answers your question. There is a last one I have. If there is anything else, we still have time. If you you can ask questions in the chat. There's another one, last one is, we read it. Considering the fast pace of technological innovation, how does the partnership plan to adapt and evolve its solution to meet the future needs of wealth managers and investors? So this is more about, it's about our development plan in terms of business, but as well as in terms of system and solution. Maybe, Holger, you want to spend a bit here, and then I will touch base on this point as well, because we are improving our system and bringing more and more partners to be able to enlarge our ecosystem and more. But please, if you want to.
Sure. Yeah, well, it's a good question. But as said, we are quite flexible, but we at the same time we are quite agile. So we have an agile approach. So we constantly further developing or improving our tools and our system, our calculation engine to be always, let's say, ahead of the curve. But also considering, let's say, the client requirements. We also got good ideas from clients how we can further develop our tool, our capabilities. So there is always a room for improvement, obviously, but we try to be innovative still. And I think so far we are still small enough that we can be as innovative as in the past. Just to give you one example, you recently started with implementing AI. So AI is a hot topic. Everyone is speaking about it. But we are going it, let's say, we are starting not with, let's say, at the core, let's say, updating the calculation engine. So we are more of implementing it at a slower pace to see the results and to see the real improvements. For example, as we have implemented in an AI-generated, let's say, explanation tool, just to show what we have seen in the tool a few minutes ago, for example, verbally via an audio output, or for example, with a written statement, what you've seen on the screen, to make it more transparent or easier to understand for clients. What is from time to time quite complex calculations and outputs can deliver, to make it more easier to understand. So this is something we are currently, for example, prototyping. But a lot of other areas, and there's, let's say, always improvement going on. As I said, we are in an agile approach. You always try to get better, let's say, from week to week or even from month to month.
Thank you, Holger. Don't have any more questions in the list, but if there is no more questions, I would like to thank you for participating in this webinar. I hope you found it useful, and we're really grateful that you joined us. We'd like to get your opinion because we want to improve these sessions. We want to bring valuable content. So please, if you would like to point your phone in the QR code and respond, this will take just less than 1 minute. This will help us to get your feedback. And please, if you want to take a note, you can take a screenshot, my contact details and Holger contact details. Feel free. And I look forward to having you guys joining the next webinar of our BRITech Talks. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Antonio. Thanks for having me.
Thank you all
Bye.
today. Thank you. Bye.